Hello, I'd like to talk to you today about Microsoft's Visual Studio Team Services and our support for Java and other cross-platform languages. Today is May 3rd, 2016. You can keep in contact with our team by following us on Twitter at JavaALM, or you can check out our website at java.visualstudio.com. My name is Paul Barham and I'm a program manager. I work alongside David Staley as a software development manager, and together we work with a team of developers within Microsoft that are extending our product to better support Java and other cross-platform languages. We invite you to contact us with any suggestions or questions you may have. I'd like to start with a little statement here about our mission. And 2 years ago, approximately, Satya Nadella came on as our CEO, and he had a vision of making Microsoft a more open, extensible, and cross-platform organization. His overall mission statement for the company is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. Microsoft certainly wants to be a large part of that mission and that goal, but we recognize that there are other solutions out there that we need to both integrate with and extend and play nicely with. And so we have this new mission again of being more open, cross-platform, and extensible. It's one thing to say you have a mission, it's another to actually do it. And I think Microsoft is clearly demonstrating at a company level, we have initiatives going on that show we are more open and we are supporting more cross-platform initiatives. Examples are Linux running on Azure. So our Azure cloud system does not just support Windows, it also supports Linux. We also have Office running on iPad, and we've had Office running on Mac operating systems for a long time, many years. We have Bash, which is a traditional Unix shell or Linux shell running on Windows. And we just introduced a new bot framework. And instead of just supporting C# bindings, we also decided to support Node.js. So these are clear examples of things we're doing at the company-wide level. And if we drill down into the developer division, the division of our company that supports developers, we see other examples of how we're being more open and more cross-platform. The first of which is Visual Studio Code, which is a new advanced editor that we just released to the general public. It's open sourced and available on GitHub, and it supports Linux, Macs, and Windows. And so if you go to GitHub and look out there, you'll find a repo there, Microsoft/VS Code. It's out there for you to see and contribute to and to check out. We also have open sourced our .NET framework a year or two ago, and again, it's one thing to put something out there that's open sourced, but if nobody uses it, it really doesn't have any value. But luckily, we do have partners that are offering .NET on operating systems other than Windows. We have it offered on Linux, for example, by Red Hat. So these are examples that we're doing within the developer division at Microsoft to demonstrate our openness and cross-platform support. If you come into our team, the Visual Studio Team Services group, we have a sub-mission, I guess I would call it, to support all developers, all languages, and all platforms. We feel that this is our contribution to the overall mission statement of Microsoft, and we want to do that in a mobile-first, cloud-first approach. So some examples of openness and cross-platform support within our own group, we have these build agents written in Node.js. Now, our build agent is basically the agent that helps orchestrate and conduct a software build. We had one previously in the company that was written in C#. This had only ever worked on Windows, and about a year and a half ago, we decided to rewrite it from the ground up, and we wrote it in Node.js so that it also supports not only Windows, but Mac and Linux as well, and we've open sourced that. It's also available out on GitHub. If you go to GitHub, here's the repo. You can check it out. If there's a task that you feel is missing, you can always write one and submit it. We welcome contributions, or you can add on to what's there or see the examples. Other examples we have are some plugins for IDEs. And so while you may not think about Visual Studio as your first IDE if you were going to do Java development, more than likely you're going to think of something like Eclipse or IntelliJ. And so we have plugins that we have written, that we've open sourced, and that are written in Java to support both Eclipse and IntelliJ, and not just IntelliJ IDEA, but the full family of IntelliJ products. So we invite you to go out and check those out. I'll show you the repos for those later. Other examples we have of ways that we're being extensible and open is almost everything that you can do with our developer tools. You can also do via a set of REST APIs. So everything you can do on the UI is pretty much available programmatically through a set of REST APIs that are open for you to interface with. We also have another capability called service hooks. We sometimes refer to those as webhooks that allow you to pass data from our system to other systems for a more integrated total solution. We also have an extensions marketplace. So if you go out to marketplace.visualstudio.com, you will see a marketplace out there. This one we happen to looking at for Visual Studio Team Services, but there are hundreds and hundreds of third-party plugins that add features to our system. There's some like that. Add Slack, for example. You can integrate Slack with our development tools, which is something very useful to do for teams, and you can go out there and find them all yourself. So that's pretty much closing the topic of how we're being more open and extensible. Let's move on in the presentation to talking about Visual Studio specifically. So Visual Studio is now a brand. I think everyone, when you say Visual Studio, the image that comes to your mind is probably that of the Visual Studio IDE. Visual Studio as an IDE has been around for many, many years. It's very well liked and loved by developers, especially those developing .NET and C# applications. So we wanted to leverage that brand, the Visual Studio brand, and we have done that. And we've extended it to cover two other products. So we have the IDE, we also have the Visual Studio Team Services that I'm going to be talking more about in this recording. And we also have Visual Studio Code, which is that advanced editor I mentioned. So I'm going to start by saying what are Visual Studio Team Services and what is this product you may have heard referred to as Team Foundation Server or TFS. I'm going to start by saying what they're not, and I know that's a little odd, but I think it makes a clear distinction between the old definition of Visual Studio and what Team Services is and is not. So it is not an IDE. So Team Services and TFS are not IDEs, and they don't even include one. And so it's easy to realize why you might think so, but to avoid confusion, let's just start there. So what are TFS and Team Services? They're essentially the same product. Team Services is the version of that same product that is our software as a solution offering that runs in the cloud, and Team Foundation Server is the version of that product that runs what we call on-premise, so it's more of a box product. So the Team Services is a cloud-based offering that's you use as a service, and you can host your code there and do all your code development there. Everything's in the cloud. You never have to have anything on your local machine. The primary interface is a web interface, whereas Team Foundation Server would be behind your company's firewall or on your home computer. The other big difference between the two product names, Team Services and TFS, are that Team Services, being a cloud-based service, is updated every 3 weeks, which is the cadence of our internal sprints. We are an agile organization. We have 3-week sprints, so every 3 weeks we push out new product features to Team Services. On the other hand, TFS is only released once per quarter or 4 times a year, and so TFS is always trailing by a little bit the features that are available in Team Services. So those are the primary differences, but you should essentially think of them as the same product. So what are Team Services and Team Foundation Server? Well, it's an integrated suite of modular software development tools that support the full software development lifecycle. You also may hear, instead of using the term software development lifecycle or SDLC, you may hear the term application lifecycle management or ALM. We use those interchangeably. But we'll talk a little bit more about what the underlined highlighted pieces of integrated modular and development tools mean on the next slide. But what capabilities make up our product? I think first we talk about version control. So we have a server that does version control, and it's a code repository specifically supporting Git and also our Team Foundation version control. If you were to look in industry for products that have similar capabilities, you would find things like GitHub and find things like Bitbucket. We also have bug tracking, backlog, and story management, and agile processes, things like Kanban boards and backlog management. Those, if you were looking in industry for similar products that have capabilities like ours, you would look at things like Jira and Rally. We also have a continuous integration and continuous deployment system. So if you look at the continuous integration piece of that, kind of a build coordination, a software build process, manual and automated testing in industry, and you did some comparisons, you would probably compare that to Jenkins and Bamboo. We have package and artifact management that provides capabilities similar to Artifactory and Nexus, and we have, within the release and deployment, we have some some tools that allow you to manage your data center or manage your deployments a little differently, and those capabilities comparatively would be to things like Puppet and Chef. So again, going back to the definition, what do we mean by integrated in a suite of tools? Well, we have a complete offering, as you just saw. Our one product offering encompasses many different competitor offerings, but we can provide a complete end-to-end solution. You can just think of it as a complete end-to-end DevOps solution, a complete end-to-end software development lifecycle solution for every aspect of software development. And it's integrated so that you don't have to do the integration yourself. If you were to buy individual components from different vendors, one for your Agile, one for your Git server, one for your build service, then you as an organization have to then integrate those separate pieces, possibly again from different vendors, together. You have to worry about the integration. If then the vendor of the Agile tools comes out with a new version that is not backward compatible and it breaks your integration, you then have to go redo that integration. You're responsible for all that time and effort and maintenance, possibly even having to have a team responsible for it, where we provide that integration for you. All of our tools are designed to work together. They're fully integrated together. Now, again, it would be more like the old Microsoft to have to force you to use the take all, leave all. You have to use the whole package. We don't do that. Even though it is a fully integrated suite of solutions, it's also modular. And so if you only want to use, for example, our build system and use that with some other tool that does your Agile management, we allow you to do that. So it's a full integrated system that has traceability across the entire product, but it also can be used in a modular fashion, and that's important for us in terms of our new mission. The other benefit you can have, especially for a company or an enterprise, is that you can have a single development stack for all of your developers, whether they be Java, C++, .NET, it really doesn't matter. You can use a set of common developer tools, and so you can have common reporting, common traceability, and only have the cost associated with having a single development stack to support all of your developers in the company. Other high-level benefits of Team Services is our competitive pricing. If you compare us to other products on the market, you will find that we are very competitively priced. The first 5 developers using our tool are free forever. There's never a charge for the first 5. Even if you have 100 people using it, the first 5 are always free. We also have the benefit of having free unlimited stakeholder licenses. So if you have people that are not doing software development, maybe they're just doing some of the Agile planning, they're creating some of your stories and your tasks, or they want to stay updated, then those type of people that aren't doing development are what we call stakeholders, and they get free unlimited licenses, so that you don't pay anything for those people. And when you do pay, it's very reasonably priced. So like you can see, your first 5 are free, the users 6 through 10 or $6 each, and it kind of scales up with the size of your business. And again, we invite you to compare this to other people in the market. We know we are competitively priced. Now, in terms of an enterprise, so if you're a business, and even if you're not, this is important, but it really is extremely important for enterprises, we have enterprise-ready security. We support AAD out of the box. We support SSH. We support 2-factor authorization. These are very important things for businesses. We're also SOC 1 and 2 compliant, and we're ISO 27001 compliant. These standards and these compliances have to do with our protection and privacy of your data in terms of storing your Git code on our servers. We are safe and secure enough for U.S. government contractors to use this. We have U.S. government contractors using our system daily for developing code for the United States government. We also can handle enterprise scale. What do we mean by that? We mean that something as large as Microsoft can use our tools and do use our tools every day. So within Microsoft, our tools are used by some very large groups, things like the Windows group, the Office group, the Skype group. We have many different groups within Microsoft using our tools. And even for Java, we have many different Java teams within the company using our Java tools every single day. So we dog food our own systems, we use our own systems, and so we use them, and we know that they can handle the scale of a very large enterprise. Now, other ways we set ourselves apart from some of our competitors, we have an approach to support whatever IDE you want to use on whatever operating system you want to use. We don't want to force you to use an IDE. For example, we don't want to force you to use Visual Studio. Especially in the Java arena, the popular IDEs are Eclipse, IntelliJ, primarily, and then we also have our new VS Code advanced editor that we're supporting. So we support all the ones listed here, Eclipse, and we're a member of the Eclipse Foundation as a solutions member. We also support Eclipse Che through a partner agreement. talk more about these later, IntelliJ and the full suite of IntelliJ products, including IDEA and also Android Studio and VS Code. Our goal is to allow a developer, if they so choose, to stay in their IDE 75 to 80% of their time for their daily workflows. And we can talk a little bit more about that later. But basically, if you want to clone, and then you want to clone your repo, and then you want to create a feature branch, and you want to go implement that feature, then you want to do a commit, then you want to do a push or a pull request, whatever that set of tasks you want to do, we strive to get you to be able to stay in your IDE 75 to 80% of the time and not have to jump between your IDE and a web interface, which can also break your concentration. So we are maintaining a plug-in type support infrastructure where some of our competitors have abandoned this approach. So language independent features. Let's start by looking at version control. So version control, we have full Git support as a service or as a server. We provide free, unlimited private Git repos. You may hear some of our competitors or some offerings in the industry, they provide free, unlimited public repos, but we provide free, unlimited private repos, which is obviously a benefit to enterprises and to people doing company development where you're not necessarily open source in all of your code. We're compatible with any Git client. We are completely using the Git standard. We don't have some Microsoft version of Git. We actually use the Git standard, and we test against multiple clients every day. We have credential managers for Git that allow you to manage your credentials securely on whatever platform you're on, whether it be Windows, Mac, or Linux. Therefore, you can store your credentials in a secure manner on the operating system of your choice, and then not have to enter those credentials every single time you do an operation. We support things like Jenkins through Git and TFVC. We obviously support our own version control, Team Foundation version control. And another feature we have is you can build, our build system can actually build from Subversion repositories, and we can also support build from remote Git repositories as well. Another language independent feature we have is freeform code search. And so if you're looking for a function name or a class name across a very large repo and a very popular class, you may get many different hits. But if you only want the definition where that class is actually defined, it would be nice in a search feature to be able to only support for the class definition. We allow you to do that. We allow you to have semantic rankings and have contextual sensitive searches. We support languages like Java, so we have specific Java support in our code search that lets you support across all your projects, across all of your repos, and be able to find things very easily. We have conversational code reviews, and so our code reviews aren't just really simple. You can have very elaborate back and forth conversations. You could have 10 or 20 deep conversations if you want to. And it's very rich in allowing you to have interaction within your team on these code reviews. We also have the ability with Git and branches to let you have branch level policies, and some examples of those are you can require like a certain number of reviewers. You can say, hey, on this branch, before I allow a pull request into master, you got to have 5 or 6 reviewers, whatever you want to do, and then you're not allowed to complete that pull request unless that policy is met. You can also require, for example, that the build be successful and they not allow a break to the build. More independent language features, we have an integrated Agile tool suite, as I mentioned. We support Agile, so we do Scrum and Kanban. You can use whichever one you want. You can do your backlog, your story, your task management and creation and tracking of those. We can do bug tracking. Bug tracking can be blended with your stories or kept separately. And it has full traceability, so all of your commits, all of your changes to your code, you can reference these stories and reference these tasks, and then the server keeps up with a linkage between those two, so that if you're ever going to have a question about who made a code change or when it was changed, or you have the full traceability, full history right there at your fingertips. We also have a cross-platform continuous integration and build system. It goes to one of our primary ways that we're supporting our mission of any developer, any language, and any platform. As I've already mentioned to show you, it's open sourced on GitHub, so I invite you to take a look. The system runs on Linux, Mac, and Windows. We provide a set of hosted machines that are our build servers, and so with Team Services, our cloud offering, we actually have a bank or a selection of hosted images that you can use for your builds. There's a certain number of hours that are free of that service, and then beyond that there's a small charge, and then the other capability you have is to stand up your own build machines in your own cloud, your own data center, or over on your home computer. The build system is fully integrated. It links to your test results. It links back to your backlog items. It's traceable, and this is true of our entire system. You have full traceability from one end to the other, back and forth through the system. We have another feature called Application Insights. This is basically a metrics package, and it allows you to instrument your websites and instrument your code. With a very few lines of code, you get automatic metrics on things like server timings. How long does it take to load from the server? How many total requests have you seen? How many have been successful versus failed? How many sessions and page counts do you have? Again, like 5 or 6 lines of code, you throw it in on your website or in your web app, and off you go, and these are automatically reported. You can also add any number of custom events you want to your system and trace those as well. And we have this feature called deployment markers, where if you use those as part of our build system and as part of our deployment, you can actually mark on your graphs for your metrics when you do deployments. And so some examples here are these little blue eyes. And if I were to hover above these in the real system, it would actually tell me the name of the deployment and what the date was. And so if I saw anything going wrong with the metrics, I could go back and say, hey, which one of the deployments caused this? Now, zero in on Java and cross-platform, but specifically with Java, what do we support? So we have these plugins that I've mentioned. We have this Eclipse plugin, and people think maybe Java is, or Microsoft is a newcomer to the Java arena, where we're not. We've had this Eclipse plugin for well over 6 years, and we've been doing it. It was not very well known. The code for this plugin, which is called Team Explorer Everywhere, is available on GitHub. If you go to GitHub, you'll see this repo here, this Team Explorer Everywhere, and it's all written in Java by our Java team internally, and we use it every day. So we encourage you to look at that and use it, and we welcome contributions. It supports Git and TFVC version control. So it supports both our legacy TFVC and the new Git. It supports within the IDE, you can see what stories are assigned to you. So it has agile planning capabilities and bug tracking, see what bugs are reported to you. You can create new bugs. It has integrated build system support, so you can kick off a build. You can see the status of builds. And as I mentioned before, we're a solutions member. So that's kind of our Eclipse plugin. Again, it's been around for a long time. It's our most fully featured plugin we have. We also have a plugin for Eclipse Che, or we don't specifically, but we have a partner called CodeEnvy. CodeEnvy has integrated with our team services system via the REST APIs, and they are the primary developers, or one of the primary developers on Eclipse Che, so we encourage you to go check out their website at codeenvy.com. We also support IntelliJ, and we support all versions of IntelliJ, so not just IntelliJ IDEA, but we also support PHP Storm, RubyMine, WebStorm, all the different variants, including Android Studio, and we support both the free version or community version and the paid version Ultimate. So our plugin works on any of those systems. It's also open sourced and is available out on GitHub. If you go to GitHub and check out this repo here, you will find the IntelliJ IDEA plugin for Visual Studio Team Services. And what it provides is simplified authentication. It makes it very easy to get going, get logged in, authenticate. It allows you to both clone repos from the server down to your local machine, or if you have code on your local machine, to very easily share that into team services. It has an enhanced pull request feature that allows you to cross-reference your pull requests and your commits with your stories and your tasks. And so it has this issue and story integration. And pretty soon we're going to be adding build support here. This is very actively under development. We're on our cadence here. We're releasing updates to it about every 3 weeks. And then we also have a plugin for VS Code, our advanced editor. VS Code is a little different in that our plugin is written in TypeScript or JavaScript, because that's the language that VS Code is written in. It's also available on GitHub. So if you go to GitHub and see this here, you'll see the VS Code repository there on GitHub. We invite you to check it out. The VS Code is more of a command-driven editor instead of an IDE with an advanced UI. So all the commands are basically, you hit a certain key sequence and it gives you this command prompt, and then you're able to create or do different things. Some examples are you can create a bug, You can create a new task from within the IDE. So if you thought of something and don't want to jump back to the web interface, you can very easily create a task. You can send feedback and build summaries, a lot of different items you can do. This is our newest plugin, but again, we're actively developing it and invite you to check it out and give it a try. Other Java product features, in terms of build support, we support Ant, Maven, and Gradle, which are by far the most popular Java build systems, and we have full support for all of them in our product. We support JUnit test publishing, so if you run your JUnit test within Ant, Maven, or Gradle, and you just tell it you want to make sure that your JUnits are published, here's an example where there are 10 tests, all are passing. Over here is an example where we have 16 tests and 6 are failing, so we make sure we publish that information for you. We also have ability to do Java code coverage, and the two that we've implemented so far are Jacoco and Cobertura. And so it allows you to see the code coverage that you have and display that code coverage in the build summary. This is the build summary. So here, this is an example of Jacoco, and it's showing that we have really good code coverage. So we have that integration. We have the ability to do load testing. So if you have a web app that you want to put under some serious load, you can do a JMeter definition for that web app. And then we have a system built in that allows you to scale that JMeter test case and run it across many different instances within Azure. So if you wanted to have 1,000 machines hitting it, it's very easy to set up a JMeter definition, run it across 1,000 machines hitting your application, and then take all those 1,000 test results and bring them back into one consolidated report, such as what you see here. We also have integrations with different static analysis, and the ones that are most popular for Java that we've integrated with are SonarQube. We have a full integration with SonarQube where you set up your own SonarQube server. We have a partnership with them, and we also support things like PMD and check style. We're also doing the find bugs at the moment, so PMD and check style are there, and we're implementing the other one as we speak. So we have those, and those are highlighted and show you the results here. For example, for static code, PMD found 0, check style found 0. Kind of boring here because somebody's written some perfect code, but they integrate with our system. For release management, we have some pretty sophisticated capabilities. Like you can have multiple stages. What I mean by that is like you can have a pipeline such that you can have a QA stage, you can have a prod stage, you can have multiple QA stages and multiple prod stages. It just lets you to set up a pipelines-like capability to deploy to things like Azure WebApps, Azure Linux VMs, Azure Tomcat instances, and even deployed to AWS or your own machine somewhere else in a data center. So we allowed you to do those sorts of things. We're also integrated with all of the popular Java tools that you want to be integrated with. I've already mentioned Slack. We're integrated with Slack. We're integrated with things like Trello. If you want to create cards on a Trello board, or you can integrate with Jenkins and do your builds with Jenkins. So all of your different GitHub, you can build code from GitHub instead of building it from our repo. There's lots of things you can do. We're fully open and integrated, as we talked about earlier. And if there's something that's missing, you can write it yourself. You can extend our product, write it using our public REST APIs. You could write your own custom extensions. You could publish those for free on our marketplace. You could publish them and charge money for them on our marketplace, or you could just maybe have your own internal marketplace for your company where you keep your custom extensions private. Another way you can extend the product is through service hooks. You can do things like when any of these events occur, and these are just a subset of the events we can do, but say, for example, when the build is completed, if you wanted to trigger something in another system, you can do that. And so service hooks allow you to basically have these triggers and then go do an action. So when a build completes, maybe create a Trello card, or when a build fails, maybe put a message in your Slack channel for your team. That's the power of service hooks. So in summary, I hope you're getting this impression. We love Git, we love Java, we love Mac and Linux. We're more open. We want to be extensible. We want to support cross-platform development. It's important for us to want to be able to allow you as a developer to use the IDE of your choice. We don't want to lock you into one, so we have all of our popular extensions, and we want you to integrate with your preferred tools. So even though our system provides a full end-to-end integrated solution, and you don't necessarily need anything outside of that to do your software development lifecycle capabilities. If you so choose to want to use another system, we allow and make it easy for you to integrate, and it's modular. Our system has modular capabilities, so you can pick and choose the pieces that you like, and therefore pick the best of breed and use it that way. So I just want to give you the summary or the final page to tell you how to contact us. Again, our website is java.visualstudio.com. We encourage you to visit. We have a news page under the support area that tells about all the new features we've done, primarily over the past year. And every time we do a new feature, it'll be on that news page, so you can check it out. Or you can follow us on Twitter. We always are doing blog announcements on Twitter about new features. That's a good way to keep up with us. Or follow our Facebook page. And of course, all of our source code for our plugins and everything that our team does is open sourced and primarily written in Java, and those are out there on GitHub for you to view. Thank you for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.